Thank you very much. It's nice to be here, and nice to see you all here tonight. Just want to say, as I'm sitting here thinking about my stay here in Broome County, I moved here 40 years ago to attend graduate school. And I never would have thought I'd be at this point in my career when I first moved here, but this place was really buzzing more at that time. But it was just at the beginning of the decline in our manufacturing base, when we lost our shoes and our computers and our flight simulator businesses overseas. And after I was done with graduate school, I taught at the university for 10 years. During that time, I began to understand some of the decisions that were being made at the Albany level regarding higher education. After my position was eliminated at the university, I spent 15 years after that working in mental health, community mental health, again, where I got to see some lousy decisions being made at the state level. All this time, I was observing a political class and decision makers at every level of our community waiting and hoping for some other big savior to come help us. A community that was born and developed on innovation had somehow lost the very spirit with which this place had been developed around. I committed myself when I ran originally for county legislature and then for the state assembly, to be a person who was going to champion this place and to try to find out what our skills were, what our resources were, what kinds of things we could do to rebuild our economy, because the shoe company wasn't coming back. The big company wasn't coming to our rescue. We had to develop small. The very backbone of our community is small business, and as you well know, and I've heard from you over the years, it's not been easy. You see money being squandered, big projects going out, cash flow problems, questionable bids. I don't blame you for being upset, because we are as well. One of the positive things I find, the county executive mentioned it earlier about the Regional Economic Development Council. That has forced Broome County 5 years ago, or whatever it was, 5 or 6 years ago, to collaborate with other counties around us. This was not a county who was used to doing that. As a matter of fact, I was quite skeptical of another economic scheme coming down the way to help us out. But I held out my suspension of disbelief, and went through and sat in every meeting and watched what happened in our community. And I can tell you, you can be critical of a lot of things, but we have really benefited from a regional development that paired us with Cornell University and Elmira and Corning, and it really forced us to think about what do we do well here. We do transportation industry well, we do innovation well, we do downtowns well, and we do local foods and agriculture well. And we're doing a lot better about that right here in Broome County, now that we're looking around and seeing the developable land, the wonderful restaurant opportunities, culinary schools, need for new farmers, craft beverages, all of what we're doing to build up one sector of our economy that other people in the region have done very well over the years, not so much us. I see a very positive development around all that. Meanwhile, we have a tax structure that's not helping us at all. Not one damn bit. And one of the biggest factors is school taxes. I have been one of the people at the Capitol who have complained bitterly about the unfair school aid formula. You look at your tax bill, 60% at least goes to school taxes. And if you knew about how the formula is skewed to Long Island and other places, it would upset you as much as I am. I'm certain that my colleague will say the same later. Fortunately, the folks at State Education Department have realized how that is hurting communities like ours, and I am hopeful this year we're going to have a formula that reflects the level of poverty that we are facing in our communities, and we will get finally our fair share of those resources. Recently at an economic development hearing, I serve on that committee, I questioned Howard Zemsky, the head of economic development, about the penchant they have for big projects, big ribbon cuttings, big announcements. And I said the reason why Broome County won the URI, the sub-state revitalization, is because our plan was practical. It was doable. It was full of small projects that added up to something big. I was the assembly representative that helped judge all of the projects, and ours was a solid win. We came in second of the group of top three. And I honestly am very upset that those projects are being let out as slowly as they are, and I'm imploring them to do a better job at it. I also quizzed him on how is it the case that we can toot our own horn about economic development, and we're still 49th out of 50 states when it comes to major business.
Ms. Lupardo, you're
indicators.
running out of time.
I'm running out. Is there a sign that says, oh my gosh, I'm tired? Let me just summarize by saying I love this community. I'm on the case, working very hard with my colleagues, and hope to do more in the years to come to promote what we do well.
All right, Mr. Nixon.
Thank you, Jim. Hopefully this doesn't break protocol. I was not going to sit in a chair and do this. So first of all, I would like to thank you, chamber members, small business owners, for sticking by our community, for sticking through it thick and thin as Albany threw mud and roadblocks at you year after year after year. I think it's an unsung story what you went through and what you continue to go through in the 49th out of 50th business climate in our country. And of course, it's been 49th or 50th for the last 8 years. I think it's terrible, and I aim to change that. Now, why am I standing here before you this evening? It's because I'm passionate about public service. It's because I believe in giving back. It's how I was raised. My parents, a retired elementary school principal and a retired elementary school teacher, taught myself and my little sister, the mechanical engineer who does management for Frito-Lay, you stand on the shoulders of giants. You have to give back. You must give back. And that stuck with me. It stuck with me when I was at Cornell. It stuck with me when I did missions work in South Korea. It stuck with me when I was at Rutgers Law School. It stuck with me when I went to Dubai, where I worked for about 2 years. It stuck with me as I came back upstate to my roots. My family has lived upstate since the end of the 50s. I was born and raised in the Rochester area. I came here for work. I understand the need for work here. And I came here for work because I wanted to marry my wonderful wife. And they're from the former Soviet Union. So we can talk about regulations that don't work and a whole system set up to rob people like you. They know it inside and out. They can talk to you about people sent to gulags. Okay? I'm conservative. I'm against that system. But I moved here for work because I knew that I needed to be able to tell my now father-in-law, this is my job, this is where I work, these are the benefits, can I marry your daughter, please? And thankfully he said yes. Okay? So I'm running to change that culture of corruption in Albany. I've called for term limits. I believe that that will go 50% of the way of dealing with the culture of corruption. I want 3 or 4 terms for the legislature and 2 terms only for the governor, for the attorney general, for the comptroller. I think it is a disgrace that we have multi-billion-dollar projects where there is no oversight and no accountability. Imagine, business owners, imagine department heads and managers, if one of your reports came to you and said, well, the money you gave me, here's where it went, and I can't really explain what happened, you would send them out the door with a pink slip. It's a disgrace. That's what we've become. We used to be the Empire State, and people looked to us. We had the biggest population. We had the most jobs. We used to have 1 million manufacturing jobs in New York City alone. And look at where we are now. We have I believe we have less than 100,000 in the whole state. It's terrible. Meanwhile, from March of 2010 through the present time, the United States has added more than 1 million new manufacturing jobs. Not here. You can thank Albany. I'm running to change that. I'm an attorney. I have a very special set of skills for dealing with problems like this. Hopefully you can support me on November 8th. Thank you.